Hello, and welcome to another little bit of positive balance in an uncertain world with Therapy Ted and me. And new haircut! Yay! So excited, so excited. It's all gone, and so has most of the colour, as you can see. So, yeah, really liking the new style. Right, so where do we start today? Well, it's actually a continuation of last time because your bodies want to continue with I am good enough. So we are moving into I am good enough part 2. Who knows if there'll be a part 3, maybe even a part 4. We do have something on the body, and that is the karmic essence water lily. Now, this is for loneliness. So I suppose if somebody feels lonely, if you feel that you're not good enough, then there may be a feeling that you might be more easily excluded, that you don't belong in some way, and that would lead to a feeling of loneliness. Now, because this is a karmic essence, this is to do with your ancestors, so it's to do with the past. So you may actually not have felt lonely in this life, but there's an undercurrent of a way of sliding into that sort of feeling of it. And you've got lots of friends in this lifetime, or you've got a small group of very good friends in this lifetime, which is really kind of, you sort of think, well, this doesn't resonate with me, but it could be something you've inherited. And as we go through the balance, you'll see that we have a lot coming in from the pesky ancestors today. So that's going to be on the body. So I'll just pop that behind me there. And Therapy Ted is going to hold that. So we do have a quantum kinesiology balance, and we do have energy permission to use the cosbats to hold the emotional stress release points. And there is an episode that explains a bit more about those. I think it's episode 8, and they're on the forehead, sort of here and here. So you can hold these if you want to, but you don't have to, because Therapy Ted is doing all the work for you. So the cosbats are going to be on your solar plexus chakra, and that is kind of in between your boobs, basically. So it's kind of right in the middle there. It's actually a nice sunny yellow colour, and it's to do with your self-esteem, but it's also to do with the immune system, which of course is very good at this moment, because we all want our immune systems to be nice and strong at the moment because of the virus, especially as we're starting to go out a little bit more, most of us. Not all of us, obviously, some people are still shielding, but so the first harmonic is an original trigger, and this is ancestral inheritance. So we start off with those pesky ancestors. And we then move into survival mechanism, and this is suppressed emotions. Survival mechanisms, as I've explained before, are things where it's our habits. It's the things that we do without even thinking about it. It's the way that we react to things based on our core programming that we've inherited or we've acquired when we were very young. And suppressed emotions, we all do this. We all suppress emotions. Women generally tend to suppress the more aggressive emotions. Men tend to suppress the more feminine emotions. But it can be anything else, it can be anything. And of course, that's a broad generalization. We're not all the same, even if you're a woman or a man. So the emotions we're suppressing is anxiety. And of course, if you've got an underlying piece of programming that says you're not good enough, then there will be sort of a level of anxiety, and that can be a very quite, a moderate level to be, or a really, really high level of anxiety. And we've also got internalization. Now, again, this, when we're not that very confident, or we have this underlying, I'm not good enough, we can tend to turn within, and we can tend to internalize things. We tend not to ask for help in case we're perceived to be weak or stupid or not good enough in some way. And as we sort of discussed last time, so if you haven't watched the part 1, I would suggest you go back and watch part 1 first before you watch this one. Because obviously if you're feeling not good enough, then that's going to create problems throughout your life, really. And internalization is actually the first step going sort of towards a sense of feeling sort of depressed, feeling quite low, because when you internalize, you start to withdraw, and you withdraw from the people around you and kind of then wider society. So it's always a good idea to try and talk stuff out with somebody that you trust is going to listen and is going to encourage you. They don't have to come up with solutions, that's not necessary. And sometimes people who want to give you advice might not be the best person to talk to. Maybe it would be somebody that is just going to listen and sympathise a little bit and then support you, maybe ask you, well, what do you think you can do about something? So we have suppressed emotions, and that's anxiety and internalization. The next harmonic is relationship healing, and this is the relationship we have with ourselves, and it's also the relationship we have with our parents. And again, as I mentioned, we inherit so much of our stuff from our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents, but equally when we're very little, we are soaking up, we're like little sponges, and we're soaking up all of this information from our parents, the good stuff and the bad stuff. Sadly, sorry parents, we tend to remember the bad stuff more than we remember the good stuff. It's kind of a self survival sort of mechanism that our brain has. Very sad for parents who have spent so much time making their children's Christmases so wonderful to find out when they're adults they remember very little about it. But it was very exciting at the time. It was lovely at the time. So we've got relationship healing, self and parents, and we have one more, and this is interesting. This is God. Now, if you are not religious and you don't believe in God, then this is whatever you believe in. So it's whatever, spirit, soul, higher energies, earth energies, Mother Earth, Father Sky, whatever it is for you. But it's this connection to something that is bigger than you, that if you connect to, actually has the answers to all of your questions. In the Western world, we tend to have got quite disconnected from this. Not everybody, but I think the Western world does tend, and secularization has tended to move us away from this connection, this deep connection that we do have with, like, even with earth energies, which would give us grounding and would actually give us some real connection. And although that might sound to some of you like a bit like, woo-woo, the magnetic field of the earth is actually vital to our bodies being able to be efficient, which they realized when the first people went to the moon. They came back not very well. And the current spaceships that they've sent up have actually had earth energy, magnetism attached. So at least that is there helping the body do what it needs to do. Then we move on to a harmonic that comes under the heading of cells, genetics and DNA. So I told you it was very ancestral today. And this one is inherited epigenome suppression. For those of you that don't know much about epigenetics, for those of you who've had this in the clinic before or in private sessions with me, will know I get very excited about epigenetics. This is stuff you've inherited from your parents that sits on top of your DNA coding and can change how your DNA genes express themselves. So it's quite important that when you have something that's being suppressed, that unless it's a positive suppression, and that can happen, that it's removed. And with kinesiology, we can actually do that. So that's what this is doing today. And then finally, our last harmonic is ancestral healing. What a surprise. And this is repeating issues. And this will be different for all of us. Some of us will have similarities, but everything is going to be related to this overall heading of feeling that you're not good enough in some way. So we will get Therapy Ted to sit here. Ooh, and he's got that harmonic, all harmonics. He's got the cosbats and he's got the karmic essence. And what I want you to do now is I want you just to close your eyes. I want you to go into your bodies, as I normally ask you to do, and just register where you feel the tensions. If you'd rather not close your eyes, then just soft focus. Just drop your eyelids and just kind of stare at your knees or something. And just recognize where all of those sensations are. You know, where are the tensions? Where's the tightening? Do you feel any pressures? Is there any pain? Okay, I now want you to take 3 deep breaths. And just feel your body relaxing with each breath. Do your shoulders drop a little bit further away from your ears? Now, as always, I put a little bit of music on, so in the quiet spaces, you know that the recording is still going. I want you to go within. I want you to imagine going inside your cells, inside the nucleus of the cell, and seeing the DNA. If you're not quite sure what the DNA sort of looks like, imagine a zip on sort of like your trousers or a top, and think about when the zip is open, you've got these 2 separate strands, and you get one of those from your mum and you get one of those from your dad. And then when they go inside the cell, it's like the zip being zipped up. The 2 get sort of meshed together. And every time your body decides it's going to reproduce another cell, what happens is it unzips itself. And then one side now does its exact opposite pairing, and then the other one does exactly the same thing. So you end up with 2, again, identical constructs. Nicely zipped up. So that's your DNA. Now, epigenetics. If one of your ancestors had an experience that was very traumatic, they would have been exposed to something that the epigeneticists call an environmental toxin. An environmental toxin can be a chemical, it can be a toxin, it could be, I've had clients who've had ancestors who were exposed to like chlorine gas in the First World War. That is definitely an environmental toxin. However, the fear that came with that is equally an environmental toxin. And that, if it's strong enough, can actually sit on top of your DNA, and all of those genes that all have lots of coding in them to tell your body what to do, some of those can be suppressed. So they don't work quite as efficiently as we would like them to. So what we're doing with this particular balance is helping the body to remove some of those suppressions so that your body can work much more efficiently. And it's really important for us to recognize that our bodies are doing the very best that they know how to do at every minute of your day. So if you've got a pain somewhere, if there's a part of your body that isn't working as well as you'd like it to, then it's helpful, rather than blaming your body, recognize it's doing the very best that it knows how to do. And maybe it's having to find a compromise because of something else that's going on. And what's happening to you at the moment is actually the lesser of two evils. So always thank your body for waking you up in the morning and helping you move through the day, even if sometimes things are a bit sticky and maybe the wheels are getting a bit wobbly in places. But if this is something that comes and goes for you, then do look at how you're treating your body and see if there's a pattern. You know, maybe you got very stressed yesterday. Maybe you didn't drink enough water yesterday. Maybe, you know, you had a very busy day, you didn't eat very well, you ate on the run. All of these things create stresses in the body. And if you've got systems which are maybe not working at 100%, either because of your age or because of what you've inherited or how you've treated your body in the past, then it's quite difficult sometimes for the body to be able to work at 100% when there's so many layers on top of it. It's a little bit like you putting a massive rucksack on your back and trying to walk up a mountainside. It gets a bit heavy. But all of these things, all the problems that we've had, if we look back, we can see the road of how we got here. We can see the pattern. And holding a belief that you're not good enough is a stress in itself, because every interaction with other people can open this up and make you feel less than. And that puts a stress on the body as well. So if we can improve our self-esteem, if we can improve, you know, these core beliefs that can be holding us back. Oh, that was a nice sigh. Something just big just released then. Maybe you felt a nice big release then as well. Then we can let some of that stuff go, and then we're able to move on with less stress. Then the body is able to function a lot better. So now I want you to take 3 deep breaths again. Focus within. See how that feels. Are there any changes in how your body's feeling from when we started? I'm certainly feeling a lot more relaxed. So is Therapy Ted. So he is now done. So I hope you found this helpful, and we will be back next Tuesday. If this is the first time here, then please hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell to actually get notifications of this coming up again. And you can go back and you can watch any of the ones before. They're all set up so that when you watch them, that's when they'll activate for you. And you can watch them multiple times. If you found one that's been really helpful, then you can go back and watch it again and see if you get the same level of reaction, or whether in actual fact it's different, or if it starts to kind of get sort of slightly less and less and less. But they're all of value, and I'm hoping that I use the thing which gives you the next video that's best for you. And I've really got my fingers crossed that we're beating the algorithm of YouTube, and that you actually get the video that's best for you and not the one that's most popular. Okay, so you have a lovely time over the next week, and Therapy Ted and I will see you next week.